Claxton. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you.
Good. Well, thanks for coming in. So I hired you for the new fourth grade writing position.
Yes, ma'am.
And so let's go tour the campus. Now, I do want to let you know that our maintenance workers are stripping the floors and doing lots of cleaning. So the building is a little bit under construction, but you can still get the makeup of the building.
Okay,
So
great.
this is where the kids come in in the morning and are greeted. And pre-K, whenever they come in, will sit here and line up to get ready for their day. So this is the office area. Miss Kocher is our secretary. She sits here and she answers the phones and greets the parents as they come in. One thing about our campus is that we have a Raptor system. So we have the Raptor system, and it does a background check on the parents to make sure that it's safe for them to be on our campus. So they have a badge to wear, and it has their picture on it. So if you ever see anyone walking around campus that doesn't have a badge, that you know that's not a school employee, then please refer them back to the office and follow up and make sure that they get there. So this is this is the registrar. She is Miss Murby. She is in charge of registering students and attendance and everything that we need. So if you need anything, she's go-to girl.
Hi, Miss Murby. I'm Miss Claxton. Nice to meet
Glad to
you.
have you.
I'll be teaching fourth grade writing. So nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
All right, so then there's my office.
Okay.
And so if you need anything, I have an open door policy, and I'm always here anytime my door's open for you to come in with any kind of questions.
Okay.
All right, this is our conference room. This is where we meet to do any type of meeting, ARD meetings. You could have parent conferences in here if you don't want to have them in your classroom. We have RTI meetings. Just anytime we have a little group meetings, we get together in here. Miss Enoch is our counselor. She's here 2 days out of the week, and so this is her office if you need anything with her. This is our workroom. Copy machine, you'll have a box labeled with your name on it, and that's where you'll get your mail or keep your important stuff. Laminator, this is the supply room. So if you need any supplies, we keep the shelves stocked in here with anything you need. If there's something that you don't need, that you do need, but it's not here, just let Miss Kocher know and she'll get it for you.
Okay.
We have this nice little area here for have lunch, refrigerator, microwave, coffee machine, and there's also a bathroom back here. All right, so that's just a little bit of the office area. Let's go ahead and tour the school and show you where your new room's going to be.
Okay, great. Very nice campus.
Thank you. We built it back in 2014, so it's still new to us. Oh, well, let's go this way. This is the nurse's office. We're not going to go in because we have someone testing at the moment, but this is where our nurse works, Nurse Smith, and she will, she's here 2 days out of the week. And you'll have to excuse the mess. We are under construction. We are doing summer maintenance and getting. All right, so this is the campus here. This is a nice mural that was painted by Mr. Pierce. It was at the old school that we had just down the road, and we wanted to preserve the history and put it on display. So this is your hallway. We have an aide that's in this office, and she does dyslexia and any kind of small group intervention. Go ahead, you're fine. These are the second grade classrooms. We have Miss Garcia and Miss Kite. Second grade reading, second grade math. This is our pre-K room. We have Miss Rodriguez, who's in here. And you'll meet all of them at the beginning of the year, but just so you kind of have a name to go with the grade.
Okay.
And then we have third grade. We have Miss Kudella, who does math, and Miss Hackfeld, who does third grade reading. This is our lovely library here.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, they get computer area, they have a reading nooks, and we're going to be doing a lot of additions to the library this year, making it a little bit more comfortable. And look, we have some little kids in here playing. Aren't they cute? All right, and this will be your co-teacher, Miss Tupa. She does science and social studies for 4th and 5th grade. Here is a planning room. If you need to come in to make a conference call or print some stuff out or just have a little meeting. And this will be your classroom.
Oh, check it out.
Yeah, nice and big. When you walk in, we have the automatic lights to save for electricity, but you have a projector and board. It is a interactive whiteboard, so you can use that. And of course, all your furniture is out now, but you'll have a teacher desk, and student desks, and chairs, and nice storage cabinets. Cubbies are for the kids, and just a really nice big open space for you to get started. I like it. All right. So 4th and 5th grade are 4 teachers that work together. So here's a staff bathroom. We do keep it locked, so you'll carry your key with you if you need to get in. You can unlock it to get in, and it locks behind you when you go out. So your other 2 teachers that you'll be working with is Miss Leva and Miss Bartek. And Miss Leva does English language arts and reading, and then Miss Bartek does math. And so you 4 will be working together as a team to teach both the 4th and 5th grade students.
Oh, okay.
These doors do open up to outside. We have some picnic tables out here if you want to take your class out, but there's not a keyed entry, so to get back in, you'd have to come around to where you have access to get back in the building.
Okay.
Sometimes people walk out and then forget that they don't have their keys and then have to walk around. So here's a set of student bathrooms. 4th and 5th grade use this one a lot because it's closer to their rooms. We have an RTI teacher, Miss Pena. She comes 3 days a week to work with students. Miss Claxton is our special ed teacher, and she works, with students in there.
Yeah, that's in heavy part.
Watch the mess. All right, so we have, down here we have a music room. We have a music teacher that comes in the afternoons and does specials with the students. So his name is Mr. Bordelon. He just has a nice big
Oh, wow.
open space for music and chairs and all kinds of good stuff. In here we have our textbook storage. So there are shelves that are for each grade level. So if you're ever needing any extra supplies, I'll walk you through that and show you where your textbooks are and anything that you might need to pull from there. We do have a new curriculum this year that we adopted from Pearson for writing. We also have the Writing Academy that you're going to be going to workshops over this summer. We already scheduled them, and we'll talk about those in a minute.
Okay.
Just to get you prepared. On this side, there's another staff bathroom, if that one's busy. This is our science lab / makerspace building or room, and we also do art in here. We have lots of these supplies are used for the kids for makerspace projects. So if you're ever doing a project with your class for writing and you need to use these supplies, they're open for you to use. If you're going to come in here and do a project, just send an email out to everyone saying, hey, we're going to use the makerspace today. This is the computer lab. You'll be able to sign up to use the computer lab at whatever times you want during the day on certain days of the week. Another planning room. And I love the glass windows in here because you can see straight back through to the library. See all the fun things the kids are doing. This is 1st grade. We have Miss Webernick who teaches math here. And we have Miss Sexton who does reading. So those will be your 1st grade teachers. And then one more set of classrooms down here. We have kindergarten. We have Miss Macias who does the math. And then we have Miss Hosapple who does the reading. So we just have 2 teachers per grade level. Small, your class size is usually about 20 to 22, unless we get those small years where we have smaller groups.
What is this for?
Well, that's our hundreds club. So for reading, we have accelerated reading, and they are to take tests. So we have a little motivational program that if they make 100, they get to come put their initials out here. Once they reach 100, the class gets a treat, and then they move on up to try to get to 100 hundreds. We had 3 groups get that this year. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, we're gonna wait here.
All right, so we're gonna go this way. This is our Tiger Cafe. This is where the students will come for lunch. They have lunch cards that say like fun lunch and salad. So when you take lunch count in the morning, if they get a fun lunch or a salad, then you'll give them a lunch card, and then they'll use that to come and eat lunch. If they're getting the entree or they have a lunch box, they do not need a card. So they come in through here. We keep the lunch boxes over here on a shelf in the corner, and then they'll follow around and pick up their cards over here and then walk through the line. There'll be tables here. There's usually a partition that's closed here to separate the cafe from the gym, but it's open for summer maintenance. So you can see the gym here, and we have a stage that the music class does performances on twice a year. So just a really big, open, nice space. And if we do have gatherings for like meet the teacher, beginning of school, we open this up so the parents have more room to mingle and sit and get acquainted. All right, well, out this way we have the playground.
There.
Okay, we have a playground here with a covered awning just to keep the kids cool and shady, and y'all have specific times to come out, and we'll go over the master schedule in just a little bit, and I'll tell you when your times are for them to come out to recess. This is a key entry, so when I give you you get your key card in, to be able to get back in, you have to scan here.
Okay.
It's just a safety feature just to make sure that no one outside the building can get in without access. All right. And we have the other set of, excuse me, that's okay. We have the other set of bathrooms here. Usually for 4th and 5th grade, when they come in, one class goes here, one class goes there, just to make the transition from going to lunch back to class a little bit quicker. Here's another set of doors here and here that can get you back into the gym. A really cool feature for if you like to drink lots of water, the kids can get their drinks here, but you can also refill a water bottle here.
Nice. I've never seen one of those.
Yeah, really cool little feature. We have a program here called Watchdogs. It's where dads can come and volunteer their time on our campus. Really wanted to get some male figures on the school campus to mentor the students and just be a part of education. The dads really enjoyed that this year. And then we're back here at the nurse's office, and so if we want to come sit in the conference room, we'll go over schedules with you.
Okay, that sounds great. Thank you.
So let's go over a few of the things that you need to know to be successful. So here we have the master schedule. You are going to be 4th grade, and so you're going to be here. So it just kind of tells you from writing 8 to 9, about 20. You're going to have a group of writing students.
So from 8 to 9, 20 will be my first group?
Yes, from 8 to
Okay.
9, 20 will be your first group of writing students. And they'll be your homeroom, the ones that you start with that day.
Okay.
And then we have a built-in tutorial period from 9:20 to 10:05. And students will go to art at that time, or computer or GT. But you will also, each group of teacher will have a group of students that they're tutoring. So you'll get to see all students every week, but only once per week.
So, so I'll have, like, part of my class will go to art one day, and I'll keep the other part of my class?
Or you might have a part of a different class.
Okay.
So
Will all kids get to go to art?
Yes,
Okay.
all kids get to go to art.
And I mean, and the other specials as well, music,
Mm-hmm.
computer
Yeah,
lab.
all
Okay.
kids get to do all the specials.
They just like
So
rotate through.
they're
the
rotating
days.
through. So what we'll
Okay.
do at the beginning of the school year, you and your group will sit down after the first couple day, we have 2 days, and so you'll kind of get to know your students then, and then you can start putting them in groups, but you haven't really got to know your students a lot by then, so you're going to want to adjust those tutorial groups when you get the feel of your students and
Okay.
build those relationships and get to know what levels they're on.
Okay.
That way you can get the most bang for your buck.
Sure. Okay.
So then you'll go into your second writing period. Okay, you'll go from 10:05 until lunchtime, which is 11:25. And so from 11:25 to 11:55, you have a duty-free lunch.
Okay.
You can eat lunch here in the workroom. I do know that some teachers in that group like to eat lunch together in a classroom. So it's really up to you and what you prefer. I would like for you to eat with your group at least once a week, just to get that socialization and build that, time. But I do know that teachers sometimes like to work through their lunches, so I just give me one day a week that you can really sit and talk with your group.
Okay.
All right, and so with your writing, I also ask that you teach a little bit of social studies to the 4th grade students, because the way it works, you'll just have like 2 periods of social studies, so just for your 4th grade students. So on this 3rd section of writing, it's a little longer. It's from 11:55 to 1:15. So you'll do your writing lesson with that group, and then you'll do a little bit of social studies. Okay, and then at 1:15 they have their PE and music time. So Monday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays they go to PE from 1:15 to 2:15. This is your conference time. And then on Tuesdays and Fridays they go to music. So you just have them go to walk them down to the music room on Tuesdays and Fridays, or walk them down to PE on Monday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. So that gives you an hour to work on anything that you need to do your planning, team meetings. We have sometimes during those time periods, RTI meetings. If we have those once every 9 weeks, then we'll do that during that time. But for the majority of the time, it will be just for you for planning. But do expect maybe once out of that week that we might have a meeting or something that you need to be in here. And then your last section will be from 2:15 to 3:30, and that's another writing section and some social studies. So the day ends at 3:30. And you'll have your homeroom back by then. Dismiss them. The first week of school is really tricky when it comes to busing, so you really want to make sure that you know where your students are supposed to go and follow up and make sure that they get there, because no parent wants to have their child lost, and we just really need to make sure that they get on the bus and get where they need to go safely. We will have a meet the teacher on I think it's August 14th. And so that is when the students will learn whose class they're in. We'll meet in the gym. I'll introduce all the teachers, and then they're going to go to their classrooms and drop off their school supplies. So that'll give you some time to get the school supplies put up before the first day of school on Thursday. Also a time to ask parents or have them fill out a form saying, where is my child going on the first day? Because a lot of times they want to pick their student up the first day of school, but then the second day they go to their normal schedule.
Okay.
So, ask them what they're going to do their first day of school, but you also need to know what they're going to do the rest of the time. Just because mom picks them up Thursday doesn't mean she's picking them up Friday or the rest of the year.
Okay.
So that would be a great time for you to make sure that you get those busing and parent pickup schedules ready. For those students that don't come, you'll have to ask them on the first day, and if they're not sure, then during your conference period I would call parents just to make sure we don't have any students that get lost or don't know where to go that first day of school. You will have bus duty once a week.
Excuse me.
We do it in a week rotation, so it usually works out where once a 6 weeks you have bus duty for an entire week.
Okay.
We do have some rules and procedures that are posted up in the gym for what we expect of the students. Some of the teachers had mentioned at the end of this year that they really liked having bus duty in the cafeteria. We had to do that a couple days because of some events we had going on, and the teachers said that the students really did better sitting at the tables instead of just wallowing all over the floors. So we're still up in the air, but we might move bus duty to the cafeteria instead of
Okay.
the gym this year. But you'll be responsible just for that 1 week.
And am I by myself with all the students?
No, you'll have 2 other people. We want one person to make sure that the hallway's clear. And then we have another one that's monitoring the kids, and we have the other teacher who will be looking for buses and calling and making sure that that when the buses are here, the kids are loaded up.
Okay.
So, and the one in the hallway, that's a really important job because you have to make sure that the hallways are clear before that first bus leaves, because it's an early town bus, and when she gets off schedule, then your bus duty's later because she also has to come back and pick up another group of students. So, and again, we don't want anyone lost or not getting off the bus when they're supposed to.
And how long, just 'cause I'm curious, like, so bus duty starts at 3:30, about what time is it usually over?
It's usually over about 4. It takes
Okay.
about 30 minutes. If there is a time during your week that you cannot do bus duty, then email other teachers and ask if anyone wants to trade with you. If not, come talk to me and I
Okay.
can cover a bus duty for that day, but just don't leave them there alone unless you've cleared it with me. Or
Okay.
sometimes once the year has gone by, having 2 people in there is okay once rules and procedures have been established.
Okay.
But at the very beginning, we want to make sure we have 3. So if there is an issue, let me know or email other teachers.
Okay.
But just make sure it's covered. All right. Any questions that you have about the master schedule?
Do we have like a paraprofessional or anyone that comes into our classrooms?
Yes, we have 4 paraprofessionals that work on campus. One of them is going to be for the pre-K students, and we'll do most of that, so that one won't be coming around to your room. We have another one that is going to be the art teacher this year, so she'll be busy in the mornings doing art, but there will be 2 for sure that float around in the mornings and in the afternoons. What we'll do is we'll look at your schedule at the beginning of the year, and for the first week they'll kind of go around and help teachers as needed. But after that, if you get me times that you think you would like an instructional aid, and then I'll also be asking the other teachers as well, and then I'll look at all of your times and try as best as I can to give you an aid at the time that you need.
Okay.
It usually works out that I can do that, but if some people need one and I only have 2 or 3 at that moment, we might kind of have to adjust times. But after the first week, whenever everyone gives me their schedules, I can get that to you, and
Okay.
you'll know for sure when you have one coming in.
Okay.
And what I suggest for the instructional aides is that you have them working with small groups and utilize them that way. You teach your struggling learners and let them facilitate your higher students that really don't need your assistance, but you need them monitored at that time.
Okay.
I really don't want them running copies or grading papers or anything like that. I want them used for instruction.
Okay.
And so if you need other ideas, your team members could also give you some hints as to how they use them, but I really want them used for instructional purposes.
Okay.
And I am starting something new this year where we have a sheet that we're going to give all the instructional aides, and they're going to come around once they figure out their schedule, and it's a questionnaire form, and you'll fill out what your expectations are, anything that you would like to teach them. So if you have let's say spelling is Words Their Way. If you want them to help you with Words Their Way, then you're going to have to teach them. So when that form comes around, you say, I would need to teach you in Words Their Way, because you want them to be, the most beneficial that they can be. But a lot of times you have to teach them first. And so that is that paper that they're going to be coming around with is going to be for them, for me, for you, so we know what their expectations are, what you expect of them, and what you're going to have to teach them for them to be successful.
Okay.
I think it'll help them to be utilized better. And I think it will help also make them, when they come in, know exactly what they need to do.
Okay.
Because sometimes they kind of feel like they're lost in the dark when they go in and they don't know what's going on or what to do. So I think that'll help a lot. Let's see here. We have, I was telling you about the computer lab times. So we also have an iPad cart, and this year we're also purchasing a laptop cart.
Oh.
So if you're doing something in your classroom and you want to check out the iPad cart or the laptop cart at a certain time every week, then you'll send. I didn't mention the librarian's name earlier, but her name. She's an aide, and her name is Miss Sylvia Villarreal, and she sends out the open schedules. And then you fill out the times that you think that you're going to need computer lab times, or the iPad cart, or the laptop lab. And it usually changes, times that you think might be beneficial at the beginning of the year. Maybe you want to switch and go to different ones. And she'll update the schedule as new times come open or other times are taken.
Okay.
But it ends up that everyone has a specific time. There are times that come up and you're like, oh, I really wish I had them for this week because we're doing a Google Classroom and I need it. All you have to do is send out an email and say, hey, is it okay if I use the laptop cart for this week? And as long as no one's in dire need of them, everyone's really good about giving you during those special times that you might need them. This is our accountability system for STAR. You will be in a STAR tested subject this year for 4th grade writing, and I will be giving out, what the accountability measures are for STAR. It goes by student achievement, student progress. So I had mentioned earlier that you were going to be going to the Writing Academy, and so you're going to be going to the editing and revising workshop, and during the summertime it's a 4-day session, and we'll talk about I'll give you the dates and you can decide which session would be best for you. And then there's also the expository writing that's also a 4-day workshop. It's in Kemah, and we'll put you in a hotel, and you can get a car from the admin and drive on up there and get your training. All right, so for the STAR testing, you're going to be doing 4th grade writing, which has one part that is the written composition and the other part which is revising and editing. So your scores for that, the passing standard for approaches is 56%. To get in the meets category, the scores need to be 69, and for mastered, 84. And we're really focusing this year on the meets and masters, getting the higher. So think about that as you're planning your curriculum, some critical thinking, higher order questioning, lots of rigor, just to really get those, focus on getting those high kids higher. Not leaving out the accomplished kids, but, teaching to the meets and masters and tutoring for the accomplished.
Okay.
So here's our school calendar this year. Our new teacher in service is going to be the 5th and 6th of August, and so you'll come during those days, and it'll be a full day from 8 to 4. We'll have some things planned with like rules, procedures, things that you need to know about administration, those kind of things. And then from the 7th through the 14th will be staff development days, and there's going to be some days built in for you to work in your classroom as well. School starts on the 15th. That'll give you the 15th and the 16th to really get to know your students. Those 2 days, I really want you doing rules and procedures, making sure you start the year off right, getting your kids to really know what you expect of them. Because if you teach them at the beginning, your year seems to go better than if not, things can get out of hand. We have another staff development day on October 7th, which we will be here on campus. On the 7th is when we're going to have our Pearson, which is our new adoption. They're going to come in October 7th, and they're going to do a workshop with us. So if you have any questions about the new adoption for, the Writing Academy, of course, you'll have to contact them and you'll go to their workshops. But I also want you to kind of use Pearson too, so to blend those two together. So if you're looking at the Pearson curriculum and you have questions along the way, jot them down, because they'll be here October 7th, and we'll be on workshops with them, and they can answer all those questions for you. We have a nice week break for November for Thanksgiving, and then in December, starting early release on the 18th, and that gives us 2 weeks out for Christmas. So coming back on January 6th, we'll have another staff development. We'll probably have some meetings and stuff, and then in the afternoons give you some time to work in your classroom and get ready for the kids to come back on Tuesday. In March is when our fair time is. So what they did this year is they combined our fair days along with our spring break to give us a week and a half. It's a really nice spring break. And then we have state testing in April. So starting here April 9th all the way through the 14th is our state testing days. And then we get out of school on May 21st. And May 22nd is going to be another staff development. That's where we, compile our end of the year, make sure you have everything turned in. And then after the 22nd, you'll be finished and off for the summer.
Okay.
So really nice calendar this year. So grade book. For English language arts, you're going to be responsible for 10 daily grades and 2 test grades. We ask that 1 of them be over spelling, 2 of them over technology, and 1 of them over handwriting. So the handwriting grade should be taken from an English or spelling assignment. It can be. It doesn't have to be just strictly handwriting. You can tell, but make sure that your students know, today I'm taking a handwriting grade. Don't just grade them over their handwriting without telling them. Make sure you do that. Your technology, make sure you have that technology grade in and label technology. That way, if we go back and look over, we can see that you have the correct grades.
Okay.
And there we have something called Parent Portal, where the parents can go on and look at their grades. So I ask that all grades are inputted in at least once a week. And our district does random checks to make sure grades are being put in, because we don't want the parent surprised at progress report time if you just put all your grades in the day before and they had no clue their child was struggling. Same thing at the end. We don't want parents saying, I didn't know my child was struggling, and now they've got a 69 on the report card, but I didn't know because I kept looking and their grades were never posted. So once a week, just dedicate 1 day a week to make sure you have your grades put in and posted during your conference period.
Do we let students make corrections?
Well, we do not have a correction policy on our campus. We are about true grades. We really want the students and the parents to have a clear representation of their student. Now, I will allow you, like say, when you put in your grades, you'll have a grade average at the bottom. If your grade average is below normal, so I would say your grade average usually is going to be should be between 65 and 75, because the majority of your kids should be average. But if your grade average is below 70 and maybe it's at the 50, reteach, retest, and then change your grades.
For all the students?
For all the students, exactly. I have had a couple teachers where they have, the failing, and then they come to me and say, hey, listen, they really bombed this assignment. I feel like that they need to be retaught and reassessed. Could I have them do corrections in this format? And the corrections that they're doing are actually teaching them this was right because, this was wrong because, this was wrong because, getting them to really dive into what they needed to fix. I don't mind that, but we don't do it on a normal daily basis. It's just if we really see the whole group was struggling. If we just have one or two students that maybe bombed a test or something, but your grade average is good, you keep it, because obviously they didn't know the curriculum, and we want the parents to know your child's really struggling in this area. What can I do to help? What can you do to help?
Okay.
So you have lesson plans that you need every week that you need to do. You can also devote one of those planning conference period times for that. I ask that on your lesson plans you include the TEK that you're teaching, and you also include the ELP. So ELP is for your English language learners. They are listening, speaking, reading, and writing to help make sure that your ESL students are getting those different types of disciplines in. So this is for you. It's just a little guide that you can look at to see. So you'll go to obviously the writing section, and that's K1 writing. Here's 2 through 12 writing. So you'll just go through here and you can see, read what the expectation is. There's some ways that you can look, and it gives you ideas here. Also gives you the student expectations. So when you go in and you write your standards down, you can write, 74.4A. And that way we know that your ESL students are do have some things in place to help them out. This is also another one that I'm going to give you. It's the instructional tool. And in here, it just gives you more ideas on how to help those students. There's some sentence stems in here for you. It'll tell you about where they are and what they should be doing, and just gives you another insight as to how to help those students. So I do evaluations and walkthroughs. I will be walking through weekly through everyone's classroom. I really like to know what's going on and see students engaged. It's not a gotcha time. It's just a time for me to go in, see if students are engaged, really see what they're into and learning. That way I can, communicate with them, and I know what's going on at the school. So once a year, you're going to have an evaluation. We use T-tests, and I copied these for you. And so there are planning standards, and then there are our other support system standards here. So when I come in and do your evaluation, I'll be looking to see if you are distinguished, accomplished, proficient, developing, or improvement in each of these areas. So standards and alignment, data and assessment, knowledge of students' activities. When I come do your walkthroughs, if I'm looking at one of these areas, I will send an email out saying, hey, I'm doing walkthroughs this week. I'm going to be looking for differentiation. I'm doing walkthroughs this week. I'm going to be looking to see if you're monitoring and adjusting, just to give you a heads up and give you the opportunity. Now, you're not going to know when I'm walking through, and don't change your lesson as you see me coming through, that I just want to see that you're doing this. Now, if I'm looking for monitoring, adjusting, and I came in last week and saw you monitoring and adjusting, then I'm going to mark you for what I saw last week if I'm not seeing it this week. So it's not really just a one and done type thing. It's what I've seen consistently over and over. Okay. And then you'll be able to look at your evaluation on DMAC. And when you go to the new teacher in service those 2 days, you'll get to set up your accounts on DMAC and on Texas and all the different things that we do. Get your passwords. That way, you, whenever it is time to get in for stuff like this, that you have the right passwords and the things that you need. All right, those are for you. And so for our team meetings, you'll be getting a notebook. And in this notebook, I will be giving you sentence stems, just like something you would do for the students, and just to get you writing and thinking about how to make improvements or monitor and adjust. And so when you come to team meetings, always make sure that you bring this with you. And because we'll be writing, taking notes, and doing things like that in here. As an example, I put in here for you hashtag one word. And so what's one word that will drive every action, both inside and outside of the classroom? And so as an example for me, I put passion, and like teaching my students to be passionate learners, for me to be passionate teacher, mother, okay? Just an example for you of some things that we do. I also put in here just a couple of little writing things to let you kind of look at and see, because the other teachers have been doing this for a year, just that way you'll kind of know what to do and what's going on. Do you have any questions of what we've gone over so far? I know it's a lot and fast and furious.
I can always email you if I have any
Okay.
questions.
Well, a couple more things. We do have a tardy policy here. It goes by 6-week periods. So if your student comes in and they're tardy, they're going to have a little note. And if you'll just collect those. Their first tardy is just a warning by you. Second tardy, they're going to sit out at recess time.
Like
They're-
the whole recess, or just like 5 minutes of it?
Yeah, I would say just 5 minutes of it. Just, when students are tardy, it's not usually their fault. But, something where parents couldn't get them there. So we want them to have a type of punishment, more so, so the parents know that because they're tardy, this is what's going to happen. But no, I would never sit a child out all of recess, because they really need that time to run and play. So for their third tardy, they're going to have 1 day of after-school detention for 30 minutes. Now, again, these students aren't in trouble. They'll come sit with me in my office, work on homework, that kind of stuff, but they're going to have after-school detention because their parents are going to have to come pick them up. And we want it to be an inconvenience to parents, that way that they'll want to get them to school on time. Their fourth tardy, they're going to have 2 days of after-school detention. Fifth tardy, 3 days of after-school detention, again for 30 minutes. And the sixth tardy is going to be a half day in ISS. So we do this just to kind of hope that parents will get their kids to school on time, but we need some type of policy to go through. We also have a dress code policy, and when you go to your new teacher in service, they'll be giving you the dress code, the code of conduct for the students, what rules we have and what kids need to follow. So you'll have to read over that when they give that to you there. Every year they revise it and edit it, so it won't be ready until then. But we have a pink note, and I'll walk you to the closet in just a second and show you where we keep all of those forms at. I forgot to do that when we were in there earlier. I think as I opened the door there was something in the way. Everything's kind of scattered about. But the first offense is, again, just a warning and call home for change of clothes. Second offense, sit out at recess and call home for a change of clothes. Again, not all recess, but for some of it. Third offense, 1 day of after-school detention for 30 minutes. Again, we're inconveniencing the parents because some of these students, or most of these students, are not picking out their own clothes usually, or purchasing their own clothes.
Right.
So their parents are buying them for them. It may not be their fault that they're coming dressed like that. Fourth offense, 2 days of after school. It's really kind of the same as the tardy policy up here. But just, we usually don't have a lot of dress code violations in elementary school, more so in junior high and high school. We do have some shirts made that the kids can just quickly put on that says, dress code on there. So we don't want them to take the shirt home and keep it, wash it, send it back. That we will have it again for the next student. But we really, if parents can't come up here to give them clothes, we like to keep some extra ones in the nurse's office. I'll be giving this to everyone at the beginning of the year, but this is teaching expectations. And this is just for the first 2 days of school. Remember I told you to work on rules and procedures? So this is just a list of things that you need to know. What are my rules and procedures for these? But I'll be giving it out to everybody during the first few days of the welcome backs. So just a few reminders. Our work day is from 7:45 to 3:45. So, make sure you're here promptly before 7:45 and make sure you stay till 3:45. Texting only during your lunch and conference. If I'm walking through and I see you on your phone, you need to have a legitimate reason why. Was there an emergency? Because I'm okay if you have your phone on if you know there's, someone's calling you about your refrigerator or things like that. But and if it's an emergency, I absolutely understand, but just for, random text here and there, lunch and conference. Social media, only during your lunch and conference, and, remember your code of ethics and who you represent every time you put a message out there. We definitely don't need any drama that happens on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter about things that happen at school. Uploads, if you decide to do a class Facebook page or a class blog, great, I'll support you 100%, but make sure that you're only uploading things during your conference period. So if you take a picture of your students right then, don't upload it right then, because then parents are going to be messaging me or calling me. How come they're posting things on it? It just doesn't look good. You have that 1 hour conference, so make sure you use your time wisely. Your grades have to be in once a week. You have to have your lesson plans finished, so make sure that you use that time wisely. Copies, I understand every once in a while people make mistakes and do extra copies, but don't be wasteful and throw lots of things away. Make sure. We do have a recycling bin out here. So you have a blue can in your classroom, or will have after everything's put back. And you can have, what I would do is assign students once a week or whenever that it gets full, take them out, show them the rules and procedures for putting the recycling in, and help us recycle. Be cautious if you decide to stay late after dark. We do have lights out here, but just be mindful. I definitely don't want anyone getting hurt going out after dark. Also, you have your purse and your personal items in your classroom. You do have a locked cabinet behind where your desk is, and you have 2 tall locked cabinets. So just make sure you keep your stuff locked up. When you're sending emails, it's kind of like social media. There's always going to be a trace. So make sure that you're not venting. Don't list people's names. Make sure everything's confidential. And last but not least, celebrate successes. Create positive relationships with parents. It starts with you. Send good notes, not just bad notes. We will have 2 days of restorative practices on Monday and Tuesday of this next week for you. It's for all staff and aides, and it's about building relationships and with students and getting good rapport. So I look forward to seeing you there on Monday and Tuesday. So you want to look at those forms right quick, and then we'll wrap it up?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Sometimes this door sticks and you gotta pull. All right, so over here where I told you about the supplies, right behind this door in here, and looks like it's all cleaned up now. We have this little cubby right here, and I just spent last week labeling it, so it's all nice and labeled. So any forms that you might need down here are your dress code violations, nurse referrals, any type of form that you might need, extra copies, there's detention forms, office referrals. Surely you won't have any of those. If you need to use a car for your what you're going to go to for chemo, there's going to be a form here for that too. So anytime you can't find a form or don't need a form, or need a form and you can't find one, come ask me, I'll help you out. But usually we keep copies of them here.
Okay.
All right. Well, if you don't have any other questions, thank you for coming in today.
Thank you very much.
Yes.